Hey GameStop. So, Obram and I just got back to the ship after spending a month in beach jail, and we found something interesting awaiting us. Care to explain it, Obram?
So, it appears that someone broke into the ship in the month we left it unattended, and while they didn't steal anything other than some precious childhood photos, whoever this was left us an interesting device. Basically, this thing can manufacture realistic recreations of alternate realities based on complex parameters.
Yeah, and the most peculiar thing is that it was already set to view a timeline, more specifically, a reality in which Obram never abducted me, and I just kept doing, I don't know, regular segments. So in the spirit of playing things fast and loose, we thought we might use our new tech to see what kinds of hidden gems this other me is digging up. We all set?
It's good to go when you are. I bet you're so miserable without me.
I don't even know you exist in this timeline. And that's the story of how I narrowly avoided going to jail last month. So without further ado, it's time for the first hidden gems of the new year. God, does it feel good to be a regular guy. Bonnie, Sean, take it away. First up, we have Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story on the 3DS. This is the second Mario & Luigi game to get ported to 3DS with new content, following last year's remake of the first game in the series, Superstar Saga. Originally released on the DS nearly a decade ago, Bowser's Inside Story places the world's quietest Italian brothers inside of their arch-nemesis, Bowser, in order that they can defeat an even greater threat to the Mushroom Kingdom, the mad scientist Fawful, who's notorious for speaking in horribly broken English, and I love it. Even though I don't play them often, I would honestly say that the Mario & Luigi series is one of my all-time favorites. Much like the Pokemon games, they serve as a great port of entry for newcomers to the genre while still being a blast for longtime players with its unique timing-based combat, inventive levels, and stellar writing. This 3DS version also features Bowser Jr.'s journey, an all-new parallel story showcasing what Bowser's son was up to the whole time, which is a question that burns to the back of my skull for most hours of the day. Thank God no one can hear me anymore. Dust off the 3DS you've been neglecting since Pokemon Let's Go came out for Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s journey, bloating and rolling its way into stores this month. Speaking of re-releases, next we have Onimusha Warlords, an HD remaster of Capcom's Sengoku PS2 classic. Back in 1997, when the streets were ravaged with second-wave emo bands and bootleg X-Files tapes, developers at Capcom posed to themselves a very simple question. What if Resident Evil had ninjas? I'm not even joking, that was actually the original pitch for this game. In its earliest form, it was set to be a Resident Evil spin-off for the N64 disk drive, but due to the failure of that peripheral and the rapidly changing gaming landscape at the time, it was eventually turned into its own series and released on the PlayStation 2, and fortunately so, as it ended up being the first ever game to sell over 1 million copies on what would become the highest-selling video game console of all time. This new version, in addition to HD graphics, boasts re-recorded voice acting and music, interchangeable widescreen support, screen scrolling for enhanced visual fluidity, analog stick support, and an easy mode for newcomers and people who don't feel the arbitrary need to impress dorks online. I kinda miss the internet. Pick up your katana from the pawn shop now before Onimusha Warlords questions your honor on the PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch very soon. Next, we have Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes, the long-anticipated return of the hecka-stylish No More Heroes franchise. For those who don't know, the original 2 No More Heroes games came out on the Wii in 2007 and 2010, respectively, so it's been a minute since we've heard from Travis Touchdown, the game's protagonist and total tool that you can't help but love. Now, while this is still technically a hack-and-slash action-adventure game, its execution is pretty noticeably different from previous titles, most notably in how the camera is largely locked in a top-down position. As for the story, Travis Touchdown gets sucked into a demonic canceled video game console and must traverse his way through 6 different evil games in order to free himself. The game is full of meta humor to an actually obnoxious degree, so much so that Travis is literally wearing a Hyperlight Drifter t-shirt in one of the reveal trailers, but I think that's part of the charm of this franchise. They're gaudy and gross and over the top, and that's kinda why they're awesome. Travis Strikes Again may be a different take on the franchise, but it's nonetheless a continuation of the stylish shamelessness that permeated the original series. The physical edition of the game also includes the Season Pass, which will offer a new scenario, new stage, and even a new playable character. So make sure you pick this one up right here at GameStop, the store that you're in right now because it's safe to go outside, when it releases this month. Next, we have The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 2 Collector's Edition, the game on this list whose full title is the most difficult to Google. If this game seems a bit familiar to you, that's because it actually already released on the PS3 and Vita in North America back in 2016. If that weren't enough, there have also been 2 entire sequels released in Japan since it was released in the US, so needless to say that we're a bit behind the conceptual curve stateside. Regardless, this cult hit JRPG's PS4 edition will feature franchise-first dual audio, a steelbook case, CD soundtrack, and collectible pin. Now, you might be reasonably thinking, that sounds great, but I've never played the first Trails of Cold Steel. Will I be lost if I jump right into the second one? The answer is, I have no idea, and I'm not gonna waste precious electricity looking it up. But you're nonetheless in luck, because the first Trails of Cold Steel is also getting a PS4 Collector's Edition with similar bonus items releasing on the same day. So be sure to snag one or both of these when they sharpen their blades and stare pensively into the distance very soon. Now, before I go into this month's final game, I have a question for you, the audience, to whom I haven't legitimately spoken since the last. Are you tired of not shooting stuff? Don't you want to be shooting stuff right now without an ounce of restraint? Just really go at it? If you answered yes, I have good news for you in the form of Rico, the buddy cop shoot 'em up that's guaranteed to satisfy your desire to wreak havoc behind the protection of a badge. Albeit a game like Rico wouldn't necessarily be my cup of tea per se, I have a lot of respect for what the developers at UNI Games are going for here, insofar as they've opted to forego the needless justification for wanting to make stuff explode in a virtual space. Each case, objective, and level is 100% randomly generated, which not only gives new meaning to the term procedural crime drama, but ensures ostensibly endless circumstances in which to create gratuitous violence. The game is also fully cooperative, both locally and online, so grab a friend and get ready to fill out loads of post-shootout paperwork when Rico enters without a warrant on the PS4 and Nintendo Switch this month. And I suppose that's it, or it would be if I didn't have something magnificent to show, well, I guess just me. As you, I, know, in the countless months since the Earth's surface became uninhabitable, I've continued to make my old GameStop TV segments in my spare time, partially to keep me almost sane, but also to help me document the progress of my device in an interesting way. And I'm now happy to report that the alternate reality looker into it's a working title, is now complete. And with this, I'll be able to peer into the vast infinity of realities different from this one. I mean, I know it won't really change anything, but you know what? Let's just try it out right now, shall we?
Wait a second, is she watching us right now?
Did he just say that me not getting abducted somehow led to nuclear annihilation? God, the butterfly effect sucks.
I told you you'd be miserable without me.
Alright, well, much like Travis Strikes Again, this is getting obnoxiously meta, so let's nix this. See you guys next time with more hidden gems told from different timelines.
Yeah, you hear that? We're an anthology series now. Expect mixed results.